welcome everybody to our evening studio meditation. I like to start with a quote. Usually have a particular theme, then maybe say a few words about it before we go into our meditation. And the quote that I have for you this evening is from Hazrat Inayat Khan, and it says, "Love can always be discerned in thought, speech, and action of the lover. For in his every expression there is a charm which shows as beauty, tenderness, and delicacy. A heart burning in love's fire has a tendency to melt every heart with which it comes in contact." So I will repeat this again. Love can always be discerned in thought, speech, and action of the lover. For in her every expression there is a charm which shows as beauty, tenderness, and delicacy. A heart burning in love's fire has a tendency to melt every heart with which it comes in contact. So that's our quote. And I guess the theme for tonight is the theme of intention and attention. Because, maybe some of you don't know, but in our school, we talk about intention and attention as being part of, we will refer to as the six basic powers. And the six basic powers are used in most of our meditation practices, even though I might not have drawn attention to them in the past. They're still very much a part of many of the meditations. So just to briefly, I will go over them. As I mentioned, intention and attention, two of them. Posture is another one. I think I've referenced posture as being one of the six basic powers in the past. And then there's invocation, which I haven't been doing so much in these studio classes, but I probably will start because I think it's really, really important. And there's many forms of invocations when you're calling upon, could be like a spiritual being, someone that is either alive now or has been alive that you have a connection to. It could even be like spirits. Indigenous tribes don't really talk about God, although they use the word Great Spirit often. But they will, talk about like the Great Spirit, or they will often invoke like spirits, great beings, that representative of like water or other elements of mountains, trees. So the invocation is literally a part of all spiritual traditions. So there's invocation, and then there's sensations. We work a lot with sensation, as you know. Like I often start off with the senses, but besides the senses, there's so many other sensations, particularly the sensations of emotion, of energy. I mean, we are energetic beings, and the way that we experience energy for first and foremost is through emotions. We're very powerful emotional beings. And then there's inspiration and expiration, or breath as we call it. So those are the six basic powers that we use. But tonight I just wanted to talk a little bit about intention and attention. So when we use our intention, which we often recommend, like to start every meditation with having an intention in mind for what it is that you want, maybe either want to get specifically out of this specific meditation, or maybe an intention that you have for life that you've been working on that you want to reaffirm again in the beginning of any particular meditation. But intention, we are recruiting our wills, which then drive our motivation to keep going, right? And media has been so carefully designed deliberately to pull our attention away from ourselves and onto objects to be consumed, right? And convincing us even that we need these objects, right? Because in I mean, if you're like me, it's not unusual, even though I've made tremendous strides, I still will occasionally feel like, there's still a little bit of I'm not good enough that comes up for me, right? I don't have enough, there's something, it's always some form of lack, right? And, the advertisers really play on this particular phenomena. They're very aware of it. And so, they skillfully design their ads to pull us away and into, buying their products. Attention is a very, very important component. The more attention that we can recruit, we can gather back, the more powerful our intention will be. I mean, the more able that we will be to follow through with whatever that original intention was. And another thing, even though, oftentimes when we're making an intention that involves a life change, a major life change, um, in the process of using our attention to actualize what our intention, to manifest that intention, in the process of being distracted and moving away from the intention, one of the benefits from that is we will become more familiar with what it was within ourselves, usually, that has sabotaged ourselves in the past. Right. So even when we don't actually fulfill the first steps of our intention, if we have enough attention, we will notice more and more and more about whatever it is that has seemed to be in the way of us being able to actualize whatever it is that we wanted to change, whatever it is we were intending to change. So, having said that, let's move into our meditation. Okay, so I invite our senses, the five senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste. I'll get to touch them. I like to leave touch for the end. But just take a moment to use the organs of your senses and begin the process of gathering your attention. Already, just by having you focus on your senses, it's already kind of like disconnecting those cords that maybe have distracted you earlier in your day. And also, I forgot, I meant to actually begin with setting an intention, which we could still do right now. It could just be like, my intention is just to really, really do everything in my power to bring my attention to whatever particular focus that the meditation will lead me into. It could just be as simple as that. Or it could be, even bigger than that, whatever it is that is on your heart right now. And now let's bring in our sense of touch. So, some of you might have your hands on your lap. We're all sitting in a chair and our feet are on the floor. So we can experience the sensation of our feet as they connect with the earth by way of the floor. You can feel the weight of our legs and feeling of clothing is on our bodies. We can feel the weight of our bodies in the chair. We can feel our spines. Just take a moment to feel your spine, just kind of work your way up to the top of your neck from your sacrum, the bottom of your spine, and see if you can feel or notice any part of your spine that is not able to have the energy move freely. Most of us will have a place or two where the energy maybe takes a little more effort to move through. And just make notice of these places if there are any. And feel your shoulders, your connection to your arms and hands. At this point, we can make any adjustments to make sure that our postures are nice and straight. So I always like to bring my shoulder blades together, having my chest move more forward, having that nice sense of openness to my chest, ensuring that my breath will be able to move more freely into the uppermost parts of my lungs. Sometimes I like to shrug my shoulders. And then I also like to have a nice sense of little added elongation and just feeling a very, very subtle, gentle lift of my head. And just doing that, I can feel like my spine just reorienting itself just from that last little bit. So now we are in this beautiful posture that we like to refer as to the majestic posture. And posture can be so, so powerful. I don't know about you, but there's often times during my day where I'll feel myself kind of slumping a little bit. And I'll notice that, there's not a free movement of energy in my body. And then I just make this little adjustment similar to what we did in that chair, but I could be standing. And then as I straighten up, all of a sudden my mood will change, like sometimes instantly. I find that so amazing. It truly is a power. And now let's notice our breath, our everyday breath, as it moves up and down. You might notice a subtle kind of lifting up with as you breathe in, and then a very subtle kind of like descent as you breathe out. You might even be able to perceive like a change in your body weight. Like as you breathe in and you feel that elongation, there's often a sense of lightness. And then as you breathe out, there'll be a little bit of sense of heaviness as your energy kind of moves back down into the earth. And then it lifts back up again with the next exhale. And notice other sensations that might be occurring as with the act of breathing, like the effect that it has on your belly muscles. on your rib cage, on your neck. And notice if there's any difference between your inhalation and your exhalation. Just about all of us will be dominant in one phase versus the other. So we might have a more lengthy inhale, for example, and a shorter exhale, or vice versa. Just notice that. Notice the quality of your breathing. Is it easy? Is it smooth? Is it strained in any way? Are there any subtle catches in the breath? And do you hold your breath at the end of your exhale or at the end of your inhale? Or maybe you don't hold your breath at all. But these are things that are important to notice. Now let's move into a rhythmic breath, which is a balancing breath. And you can do that one of several ways. We recommend being able to feel your heart, your heartbeat. And we also recognize that usually it takes some time to be able to feel your heartbeat directly. But you can certainly feel your pulse. Most of us can. Any particular pulse in the body will do. I like to use the radial pulse, which is at the level of your wrist, just underneath your thumb. It's a very strong pulse that can be felt there. Or if you can't feel the pulse, you can always count one elephant, two elephants, three elephants. You want to find a rhythm that is easy. We recommend a rhythm of six, but if six is too much, you can do five, or you can certainly do more. So when we feel our heartbeats or our pulse, we're already tuning into our hearts because the pulse is actually an echo coming from our heart. But to further this, I invite you to place either one hand or both hands over your heart and continue to maintain this nice, balanced, even rhythm. So now our attention has gone from noticing things in our bodies, literally anywhere in our bodies. Now it's kind of like we're focusing it, concentrating it on our heart. And one of the things about attention is where attention goes, energy follows. So you're giving your heart attention. And the heart loves attention. So we're using our breath as a way to attune itself to our heart. And our heart responds by following the rhythm of our breath. There's already been a change. Can you feel that change at the level of your heart? Do you feel anything else? Do you feel that sense of warmth that was mentioned in the quote that I talked about earlier? People that are warm-hearted are usually well liked. People will often be drawn to them like a magnet because the heart is a magnet. It's the biggest source of electromagnetic energy of any other part of the body. Each heartbeat sends out waves of electromagnetic energy that can be felt for many, many feet beyond the heart. They can measure it up to 3 feet, but that's all the equipment will allow them to measure. How is your heart responding to this attention of having your hands over the heart, of using your breath? I mentioned the sense of warmth. It can also be a sense of tenderness. There's a soft spot in each of our hearts. It's a spot that is usually very well guarded because we all have a history. We all have many, many, many impressions that are stored in our hearts. Some of these are painful. So it's a natural phenomena that occurs within our hearts to want to be guarded. But if we can allow, even just for a moment or two, this soft spot to emerge, even just a little bit, oh, what a wonderful, wonderful feeling that is. Mm. And now I'm going to introduce one more intervention, which is sound. So we use sound practices in our school, but rather than get into a specific sound practice where we invoke a particular quality, divine quality, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to have you just hum. So when we hum in this, the type of humming that I'm talking about is a monotone humming. It's not humming a tune. There's not much, there's no variability in the humming. It's just this monotone hum. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll do it. Mm. We'll just do a series of these, and when we do the humming, see if you can use the hum in a way that vibrates your heart, where you can literally feel it vibrating. Mm, mm, mm. There's been a lot of research around this simple act of humming, which shows that the tremendous power that it has in terms of regulating our nervous systems, particularly by way of our vagus nerves. And the same is true of heart rhythm meditation in a much bigger way. But humming in conjunction with heart rhythm meditation brings another added dimension, which the heart can feel and I believe appreciates. Mm. So when I do the humming, it often reminds me of there's a certain quality, a feeling quality that comes up for me, which is, when you have some food that's just so delicious that you go, it's so good. That's the quality that I'd like you to see if you can tap into when you hum. Mm, mm. So the path of the heart is full of emotion. Approaching the heart with humility and reverence will result in the emotions of joy, bliss, grief, and longing. All the emotions culminating in peace. It's all love in its many flavors. For love is the medicine of the heart. Whenever you have emotions, you have many sensations that the emotion causes in the body. So now I want to start to end this meditation. And before you open your eyes, I invite you to come back to your normal breath. Once again, using the sense of touch to feel the weight of your feet on the floor, the connection that you have with the earth, the weight of your legs and body on the chair, the movement of breath as it circulates throughout your body. And if you feel inclined, you can move your body, stretch your body in any way that it wants to. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.